We all know that wonderful feeling of stepping out into a fresh morning garden. But if you're over 60, you probably also know the feeling that comes after. The stiff knees when you stand up from weeding, or the ache in your hands after an hour of pruning. Most gardeners assume this is just the price we have to pay for a beautiful backyard. But what if the real solution isn't found in a medicine cabinet, but right under your feet in the soil? Today, we are looking at 7 remarkable backyard plants that naturally ease stiff joints, including one common backyard herb that most seniors completely overlook. As the years pass, the physical toll of carrying heavy watering cans and kneeling on cold soil can turn our peaceful sanctuary into a source of daily pain. Chronic joint inflammation and morning stiffness can slowly steal the joy out of your harvest, making you wonder how much longer you can keep up with your bed. But here's where things change. Nature has engineered targeted botanical anti-inflammatories that work in perfect harmony with your body. You don't need an advanced degree or complex laboratory gear to unlock them. You just need a small patch of dirt or a few simple patio containers. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which 7 plants to put in the ground, how they biochemically soothe discomfort, and how to safely prepare them at home. Let's start with an absolute classic you likely already grow, but for entirely the wrong reasons. Rosemary, the aromatic circulation booster. Rosemary is a staple in almost every backyard herb garden, celebrated for its piney aroma and culinary versatility. However, most senior gardeners completely miss its profound ability to function as a powerful topical vascular stimulant. The real secret lies within a compound called rosmarinic acid. This potent phytochemical is a deeply effective anti-inflammatory agent capable of penetrating localized tissue to flush out the joint stiffness that builds up overnight. For older adults, this plant is an absolute dream to grow because it is exceptionally low maintenance. Rosemary thrives on slight neglect, preferring full sun and poor, well-drained soil. Planting it in terracotta pots ensures excellent drainage and eliminates the physical strain of heavy ground maintenance or complex watering setup. To tap into its joint-soothing power, harvest a few woody stems early in the day when the essential oils are most concentrated. You can easily create a warm boil infusion by gently heating the leaves in a basic carrier oil like olive oil. Once cooled, this infused oil can be massaged directly onto arthritic finger joints and wrists first thing in the morning. The increased localized circulation immediately works to flush away waste products and restore flexibility to your hand. Just remember that while homemade rosemary oil is wonderfully gentle, commercial essential oils should never be applied undiluted to sensitive skin. Centuries ago, royalty used rosemary explicitly to maintain mobility and ease limb stiffness into old age. Now, while rosemary works wonders from the outside, our next plant is a fierce backyard survivor that fights joint inflammation from the inside out, even though most people spend their lives trying to pull it out of their lawn. Stinging nettle, the ultimate deep tissue soother. It sounds entirely counterintuitive to introduce a plant famous for causing a painful rash into a conversation about pain relief. But stinging nettle is a true paradox. While it is feared by casual homeowners, experienced herbalists revere it for its unmatched ability to clear inflammatory compounds from the body. As we cross the age of 60, maintaining bone density and protecting joint cartilage becomes critical. Stinging nettle is naturally packed with boron, calcium, and silicon, vital minerals that directly support skeletal health. In the garden, it is an incredibly resilient perennial. It actively prefers damp, nitrogen-rich soil corners, meaning you can tuck it away in those neglected areas where other delicate crops fail. The real magic happens during preparation. Harvesting requires strict safety. Always wear heavy leather gloves and use sharp pruners to cut only the top 4 leaves of young plants in early spring. When you brew these dried leaves into a rich, dark tea, the boiling water completely neutralizes the stinging hairs. What remains is a gentle daily tonic that safely blocks the specific inflammatory pathways responsible for osteoarthritis pain, helping suppress the deep swelling that makes bending down or digging uncomfortable. Just a quick word of caution. Nettles are rich in vitamin K, so if you are taking prescription blood thinners, consult your doctor before making it a daily habit. But if you prefer a plant that you can apply directly to stubborn, deep bone-on-bone aches without any fear of a sting, you need to meet the traditional heavy hitter of the cottage garden. Comfrey, the traditional tissue knitter. Comfrey is a powerhouse perennial that has been revered for centuries by traditional growers, earning the historic nickname, knitbone. If you struggle with severe joint impact, worn-out knees, or swelling around your ankles after a long afternoon in the garden, this plant deserves a permanent home in your yard. The secret to Comfrey's remarkable healing property is a compound called allantoin. Allantoin is a potent cell proliferant that deeply penetrates the skin, encouraging rapid tissue repair and actively reducing the painful swelling around damaged joint. From a gardening perspective, Comfrey is virtually indestructible. It features a massive taproot system that drills deep into the earth, mining valuable minerals from subsoil levels that regular plants can never reach. This makes it a self-sustaining wonder that requires zero fertilizer and thrives in almost any soil type. Experienced gardeners often choose the Bocking 14 sterile cultivar to enjoy its benefits without worrying about invasive self-seeding. To harness its structural soothing power, you can harvest the large, fuzzy green leaves to create a simple external poultice or a slow-cooked homemade salve. However, because Comfrey is so potent, we must address an uncompromised safety boundary. Comfrey contains pyrrolizidine alkaloids, which means it must never be eaten or drunk as a tea. It is strictly for external use and should only be applied to unbroken skin. By respecting this boundary, you gain a safe, traditional heavy hitter for your joint. While Comfrey handles the heavy external structural aches, our fourth plant contains a compound so legendary for internal pain relief that modern science actually copied it to make aspirin. Meadowsweet, nature's original aspirin. Meadowsweet is an elegant, moisture-loving backyard perennial that features beautifully fragrant, frothy cream-colored flowers. But beyond its delicate aesthetic, this plant holds a monumental place in medical history. Meadowsweet is incredibly rich in salicylic acid, the exact compound that 19th-century scientists isolated and synthesized to create modern aspirin. For seniors over 60, everyday joint discomfort often leads to a heavy reliance on over-the-counter pain relievers. However, frequent use of synthetic aspirin can irritate and erode the stomach lining over time. This is where the real secret of Meadowsweet shines. Nature has balanced this plant beautifully. It contains natural tannins that protect your digestive tract while still delivering systemic, body-wide relief from chronic joint aches and lower back stiffness. Integrating Meadowsweet into your yard requires very little physical effort. It absolutely loves damp spots, making it perfect for low-lying garden corners, rain gardens, or right beneath a downspout where water naturally pools. Once established, it requires minimal intervention. To use it, simply harvest and dry the delicate aerial tops and flowers. When steeped in hot water, they create a gentle, sweet-tasting tea that you can sip throughout the day to keep joint flare-ups at bay naturally, without a chemical hangover or digestive distress. Just keep in mind that because it contains natural salicylates, anyone with a known aspirin allergy or those on intensive blood thinners should skip this particular remedy. If your joint stiffness is closely tied to stress, cold weather, or muscle tension locking up around your bones, then this next famous backyard favorite is going to change your morning routine. Lavender, the tension melter. When we think of lavender, we usually think of its beautiful purple blooms and calming scent. But it has a profound, hidden impact on the musculoskeletal system of older adults. Most gardeners don't realize that chronic joint stiffness is often worsened by a physiological process called muscle guarding. When a joint like a knee or shoulder hurts, the surrounding muscles involuntarily tighten up to protect it. Over time, this constant clenching creates a painful cycle of even worse stiffness and reduced mobility. This is where lavender earns its place as the ultimate tension melter. Its primary active compounds, linalool and linalool acetate, are rapidly absorbed through both the skin and the olfactory system. They act directly on the nervous system to relax these guarded, overworked muscle groups, instantly easing the mechanical pressure on your aching bones. Culturally, lavender is ideal for senior gardeners because it thrives in sunny patio containers. This completely eliminates the need for painful, ground-level maintenance or heavy digging. To get the best results, use a high-quality potting mix blended with coarse sand or perlite. Never overwater, as lavender thrives on slight neglect and hates wet feet. Just ensure it receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight so it produces oil-rich blooms. For a comforting evening ritual, wrap dried lavender buds in a warm, damp towel to create a sensory compress. Placing this on your knees or wrists before bed prevents your joints from locking up during a long night of sleep. Our next plant is a tiny, resilient ground cover that you can step on, grow in a simple window box, and use to create a deeply relaxing soak for swollen, aching hand. Thyme, the silent inflammation fighter. Thyme is often regarded as a simple culinary afterthought, but this tiny, indestructible ground cover is actually a heavy-hitting ally for aging hands. If you suffer from osteoarthritis in your fingers or toes, you know how devastating the swelling can be. It turns simple garden chores like gripping a trowel or squeezing pruners into an agonizing struggle. The real secret to thyme's efficacy is an incredibly high concentration of a volatile oil called thymol. This compound has been scientifically verified to possess deep anti-inflammatory and antispasmodic properties that work to soothe irritated nerve endings and reduce local tissue swelling. For seniors, growing thyme is wonderfully effortless. It can be planted as a low-profile border along stone pathways, in rock gardens, or tucked into hanging baskets right outside your door. It loves full sun and well-drained soil, and it actually benefits from being occasionally stepped on, making it one of the most low-maintenance plants in your entire yard. To maximize its potency, select English or creeping varieties, and prune them back hard after flowering to encourage fresh, oil-rich green growth. To unlock its joint-relieving properties, you can create a highly concentrated warm soak. Brew a large, strong pot of thyme tea, but be careful not to boil it too aggressively, as excessive open boiling can cause the therapeutic volatile oils to evaporate into the air. Pour this warm, fragrant liquid into a shallow basin and submerge your aching hands or feet for 15 minutes in the evening. This localized treatment allows the thymol to directly penetrate the small joints, melting away the day's inflammation. Ginger, the internal fire extinguisher. We've covered 6 incredible plants, but I saved our final option for last because it can easily be grown in a simple backyard bucket, yet its root is a world-class anti-inflammatory power plant. Many people view ginger as an exotic tropical crop that belongs exclusively in warmer climates, but it is surprisingly easy for any home gardener to cultivate in a shallow container. The roots of this remarkable plant contain bioactive compounds called gingerols and shogales. Modern clinical studies have shown that these compounds work as natural COX-2 inhibitors, beautifully mimicking the exact biochemical mechanisms of over-the-counter joint medications, but without any of the dangerous digestive or cardiovascular side effects. To grow your own internal fire extinguisher, you don't need fancy seed. Simply purchase a fresh, plump organic ginger rhizome from the grocery store that shows small green growth bud. Plant it in a wide, shallow pot filled with rich, loose potting soil, and place it in a spot that receives partial afternoon shade. Because ginger requires a long, warm growing season to produce large hands, the real trick is starting it indoors early in the spring, then moving it out to your deck or patio once the frost risk passes. When autumn arrives, you can harvest fresh, juicy ginger right from your container. Thinly slice the root into hot water to create a daily warming tea that fights systemic inflammation from within, or grate the fresh root directly into a cloth to create a soothing, heat-generating poultice for a stiff lower back. It is a rewarding harvest that guarantees your garden keeps working for your health. Bonus expert tips section. Now that you know exactly what to grow, let's look at a few quick, effortless adjustments you can make in your garden setup to protect your joints from stiffness in the first place. Growing anti-inflammatory plants is only half the battle. Protecting your body while you tend to them creates a complete system of relief. First, consider transitioning to elevated raised beds or vertical wall planters. This completely eliminates the need for painful deep bending, kneeling, or crawling on hard, cold ground. Next, invest in lightweight, ergonomic, spring-loaded pruning shears. These tools drastically reduce the repetitive strain and impact on arthritic wrists and fingers during harvest. Speaking of harvesting, always pick your medicinal herbs early in the morning. This is the precise time when their essential oils and therapeutic compounds are at their peak concentration, ensuring your home remedies are as strong as possible. Just remember to avoid overstraining yourself during any garden modifications. Ask for assistance or build your new setups gradually to protect your spine. Cultivating a garden that deliberately works with your changing physical needs is the absolute best way to ensure you never have to give up the hobby you love. Outro plan. Reaching your 60s should never mean forcing yourself out of the backyard or letting joint discomfort dictate your day. By planting a targeted selection of natural, anti-inflammatory herbs like rosemary, thyme, and ginger, you can easily establish a self-sustaining system of relief right outside your back door. Imagine a future where morning stiffness is a thing of the past, and stepping into your garden brings pure, unadulterated joy rather than a dread of physical pain. I encourage you to pick just one or two of these joint-friendly plants to add to your collection or patio container this week. Which of these 7 joint-soothing plants are you going to add to your backyard first? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more low-maintenance, practical gardening secrets designed to keep you thriving in the yard for decades to come. Until next time, happy gardening!